There are stories that make you pause for a moment, but then there are stories like this one, the kind that make you question humanity itself. Bhad Bhabie, or as the world first knew her, Danielle Bregoli, has lived her life under a spotlight that never dims. But what is unfolding behind that glare now is something far darker than any internet drama or viral headline could ever prepare you for. Because this time, it is not about fame, not about music, not even about controversy. It is about survival. When people talk about toxic relationships, they usually think of heartbreak, arguments, and manipulation. But in Danielle's case, we are talking about years of hidden pain, of cheating, humiliation, and violence so extreme that it is a miracle she is still here to speak her truth. Her ex, Levon, the man she once trusted with her heart, her safety, and even her future, has now become the face of a nightmare. What began as love slowly turned into control, then control became cruelty, and cruelty became a pattern of pure destruction. But when she finally decided to speak up, when she chose to share the truth of what really happened, the internet split in two. Some called her brave. Others called her dramatic. But nobody could deny the horror in her words. In one of her most emotional videos ever, Danielle revealed that over the course of their 3-year relationship, Levon allegedly hit her more than 500 times. 500. Let that number sink in. This was not a one-time mistake. This was systematic, a routine of rage that broke her down, piece by piece. She described how he would spit in her face, how arguments turned into explosions, how she stopped recognizing the girl in the mirror because fear had taken over everything she used to be. And when she finally had proof, surveillance footage showing what she had endured, people thought maybe, just maybe, this would be the moment Levon showed remorse. But instead, he went online and did the unthinkable. He laughed. He mocked her. He called her crazy. On Instagram, he posted things like, "You only go viral when you mention me," and called her every name he could think of. It was not a defense, it was an attack. A public humiliation campaign designed to make the victim look like the villain. And what hurts most is that people actually believed him. Influencers reposted his side. Comment sections filled with laughter emojis. It became entertainment, when it was actually a cry for help from a young mother barely holding herself together. But then came the part that truly shattered hearts across social media. When Danielle found out she was pregnant, with the same man she says abused her, the internet thought this was her turning point. A new beginning. But what happened next turned that moment of hope into unbearable tragedy. She revealed that while out with Levon, she started feeling an intense pain in her lower back, a pain she instantly recognized because she had already been through childbirth once, with their daughter, K. Rose. She knew something was wrong. And she was right. She miscarried. And instead of comfort, instead of love, instead of any shred of compassion, she was met with coldness, mockery, and blame. The internet exploded. TikTok duets, Twitter threads, reaction videos, everyone had something to say. People who once defended Levon began to question everything. Because when the mask of charm falls off, what you see is not love, it is control. And that is exactly what Danielle had been living under for years. Today, she stands not just as a controversial figure, but as a survivor, a young woman who was turned into a meme, then into a punching bag, and somehow, still found the courage to tell her story. So before you scroll past or make another joke about her past, remember this: behind every headline, there is a heartbeat. And behind every crazy woman the internet mocks, there is often a story like this one, buried in silence, waiting to be believed. There are moments that change a person forever. For Bhad Bhabie, this was that moment. She said the pain started like contractions, that deep, unbearable ache that any mother would recognize. But then came the bleeding. The panic. The realization that she was losing something that had barely begun. That is when it hit her: she was having a miscarriage. Losing a pregnancy is one of the most devastating experiences any woman can go through. But what shattered her spirit even more, what truly destroyed her faith in the man she once loved, was his reaction. Because instead of comforting her, instead of even pretending to care, he looked her in the eyes the next morning and called it a free abortion. Let that sink in. A woman mourning the loss of a child, his child, and his response was mockery. Cruelty disguised as humor. That was the moment Danielle said her heart went cold. She had made it clear from the beginning that abortion was never even a thought for her. To her, this was a baby, a life, and now, it was gone. And yet, the person she trusted most, treated it like an inconvenience. This was not just grief anymore. This was betrayal on a level words can barely describe. In the days that followed, her world collapsed even further. Instead of reflecting, instead of remorse, Levon went back online. And what he posted, it shocked everyone. Instagram stories filled with the word schizophrenia, followed by strings of laughing emojis. Mocking mental illness. Mocking her pain. Then another post, whoop-de-doo. Like her miscarriage was just another headline for his entertainment. But what came next made people genuinely sick. He uploaded a video, one that no one was ready to see. It showed Danielle, crying hysterically, clinging to the hood of a moving car. The car jerked forward. She almost slipped off. And over it, he had added a trending meme sound, the jet to holiday audio that people use for jokes online. Except this was not a joke. That car? It was hers. He used her own car to film her suffering, turned it into a spectacle, and then shared it like a meme. As if her pain was content. As if her trauma was just another trend to laugh at. Social media exploded. TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, everywhere you looked, people were furious. Because that was not just insensitivity, it was psychological warfare. It was manipulation in broad daylight. This was not a man defending himself. This was a man destroying the woman who once loved him, and doing it for views. And that is when Danielle finally broke. She went live, mascara running down her cheeks, her voice trembling, saying she could not do it anymore. This was not performance, you could hear it in her breathing, in the way she choked between words. She said, "He does not respect me. He does not care about my feelings. I am done." And this time, people believed her. Because you could see the exhaustion, not just the kind that comes from fights, but the kind that lives in your bones when you have been emotionally beaten for years. This was not about fame. It was not about music. It was about a young woman finally saying, enough. She was not crying over a breakup. She was mourning the version of herself that believed love meant pain. The girl who thought maybe, if she tried harder, things would get better. That girl was gone. What you saw on that live was someone clawing her way out of a cycle that had stolen her youth. But just when everyone thought they had seen it all, came the twist no one expected. Alabama Barker. Yes, that Alabama. The girl who used to feud with Bhad Bhabie. The one who had dissed her, thrown shade, and even exchanged online insults. They had a history of chaos. So when Alabama Barker spoke up, the internet froze. She posted, "For everyone being immature in the comments, I don't need to be on anyone's good side. I'm speaking on what's right." And that one line flipped the entire conversation. Because if someone who once could not stand you is now defending you, that means the truth has become too dark to ignore. She had no reason to step in. No PR motive. No friendship bond. She did it because what she saw was wrong. And suddenly, it was no longer celebrity drama. It was a cry for help. The world finally saw Bhad Bhabie, not as the controversial meme girl, not as the viral, "cash me outside" kid, but as a woman who has endured years of torment and silence. It is easy to scroll past pain when it belongs to someone famous. But behind every scandal, behind every headline, there is a heartbeat, breaking quietly, out of view. This was not just a breakup. It was an escape. Not just a story. But a warning. Because sometimes, the people who smile beside you in public, are the same ones who destroy you in private. The internet can be a cruel place. It laughs when you cry. It claps when you fall. But this time, something changed. When Danielle went live, broken and shaking, the comment section did not fill with jokes or memes. It filled with humanity. People wrote things like, "She does not deserve this. You can see the pain in her eyes. She's been through enough." And for once, it was not entertainment. It was empathy. Because beneath the layers of controversy, beneath the viral catchphrases and the tough girl armor, people were reminded, she is still human. She bleeds. She breaks. And this time, the world finally saw it. People often forget that fame does not protect you from trauma. It amplifies it. Every argument becomes public property. Every heartbreak becomes a hashtag. Every tear becomes content. And when your pain becomes content, it is almost impossible to heal. She has been performing strength for so long that the world forgot she was allowed to be weak. But this was not performance. This was survival. Her voice cracked as she spoke about losing her baby, and the man she thought would hold her hand through the pain, acting as if it did not matter at all. That kind of betrayal does not just hurt, it rewrites your sense of worth. It tells you, you were never enough to be cared for. So when she said, "I am done," this time everyone believed her. She said she was done with men who only loved her when it was convenient. Done with being someone's emotional punching bag. Done pretending things were okay just because the internet expected her to smile through the storm. And you could almost hear it, the soft, invisible click of a door closing inside her heart. The one that always opened back to him, to chaos, to pain. This time, that door was locked. Fans started revisiting old videos, moments they once laughed at, now seeing them with new eyes. The tension, the way she flinched at certain jokes, the awkward silences, it had all been there, hiding in plain sight. She had not been dramatic. She had been drowning. And no one noticed. Sometimes, you do not realize how toxic something is until you step outside of it. That is what this live was, her stepping outside the chaos, looking back, and finally seeing the truth. For years, she carried his weight, calling it love. But love is not supposed to break you. Love does not make you cry yourself to sleep, wondering what you did wrong this time. Love is not supposed to make you feel smaller every day. Real love makes you feel safe. And that is something she never had with him. People also began noticing something deeper. She had been isolating herself long before this. The post slowed down. The laughter faded. Even her music had started to sound heavier, almost like every lyric was a confession she was too scared to make out loud. Maybe this breakdown was not sudden at all. Maybe it was a slow collapse, years in the making. Because when you keep forgiving someone who never changes, you do not heal, you decay. Then came the part that broke everyone watching. She said she still loved him, but she could not love him more than she loved herself. That line hit like a thunderclap. Because that is what growth sounds like: quiet, steady, painful growth. Walking away does not always mean you stopped caring. Sometimes, it means you finally started caring about yourself. In a world that taught her to monetize her pain, this was different. This was her reclaiming it. Even Alabama Barker's defense felt like fate stepping in. She said, "People love to talk until they're the ones being disrespected. This girl deserves peace." And it hit different. Because peace, that word, is something Danielle has been chasing her whole life. Through fame, through drama, through heartbreak. But peace does not come from fixing broken people. It comes from finally letting them go. Of course, not everyone believed her. The internet always finds a way to twist sincerity into performance. Some said she was exaggerating. Others claimed she was doing it for attention. But anyone who has lived through abuse knew the truth immediately. Because when you have screamed the truth into a crowd that already decided who you are, you know that silence is not peace, it is erasure. That night, she was not a meme. She was not the "cash me outside" girl. She was a young woman bleeding in front of millions, praying that someone, anyone, would see her as human again. It is easy to scroll past someone's breakdown when it is not your heart breaking. Easy to joke about someone's trauma when you do not feel their pain replaying in your own chest. But this time, people stopped scrolling. They watched. They listened. And they did not laugh. Because this was not gossip anymore. This was real life, unraveling in real time. After the live ended, small changes began to appear, but they spoke volumes. She unfollowed him. Deleted the photos. Stopped posting about the relationship entirely. And for the first time in years, she chose silence over chaos. Healing does not happen overnight. But every unfollow, every deleted picture, every quiet decision to walk away, that is healing in motion. People close to her said she has been focusing inward. Therapy. Journaling. Rebuilding confidence piece by piece. Surrounding herself with people who do not feed off her pain. Because heartbreak does one of two things: it either destroys you, or it rebuilds you. And this time, she is rebuilding. The miscarriage was not just a loss. It was a turning point. It forced her to see what love was supposed to be, and what it had become. She realized she did not need him to feel whole. She did not even need an apology. Because sometimes closure is not hearing, "I am sorry." Sometimes closure is realizing that their absence hurts less than their presence ever did. Weeks passed. Her posts changed. Her smile returned, not the forced one for the camera, but the soft, genuine one that comes when you start remembering who you were before the pain. Her captions became cryptic, little notes about self-worth, freedom, peace. It was not revenge. It was rebirth. The internet, for once, did not laugh. It stood still, watching a girl the world once mocked finally become a woman who chose herself. And maybe that is the real story here. Not the abuse. Not the drama. But the moment she decided that survival was louder than silence. The internet finally did something right. For once, it did not laugh. It did not mock. It listened. Hashtags like #StayStrongBaby and #YouDeservePeace flooded every corner of social media. The same world that once turned her pain into punchlines was now holding space for her. It felt like the universe had flipped, that the girl who built fame on chaos had become a symbol of survival. No longer the reckless teen from Dr. Phil. No longer the meme. This was Danielle Bregoli, a woman who had walked through love that nearly destroyed her and somehow came out stronger. Sometimes, the most powerful word a person can say is "enough." And she did not scream it. She whispered it, with the quiet certainty of someone who has finally stopped apologizing for their pain. Her tears that night were not weakness. They were release. The kind that comes after years of pretending you are fine, when every part of you is exhausted from holding on. She said it herself, she had been loving a man who only ever loved the version of her that served him. And that realization, that was freedom. It is almost poetic, isn't it? The girl who rose to fame through chaos is now teaching millions what it means to choose peace. That is the plot twist no one saw coming, the redemption arc that the internet did not expect but desperately needed. Because healing does not always happen behind closed doors. Sometimes, it happens live, with millions watching, and the same world that once judged you, finally clapping for your strength. As for him? Silence. No apology. No remorse. Not even a shred of accountability. And maybe that is the closure she never got, because sometimes, silence is the loudest revenge. When the person who thrived on attention suddenly has nothing left to say, it means the narrative has shifted. She took back the power. No one knows what comes next for Bhad Bhabie. Maybe she will take time off. Maybe she will pour her pain into music. Maybe she will finally live quietly, not as a headline, not as a scandal, but as herself. Whatever she does next, it will be on her terms. And that is the kind of freedom no one can ever take from her. Because this is not just another celebrity breakup. This is a lesson, about knowing your worth, about walking away when staying means losing yourself, and about finding the courage to rebuild from ashes. That night, her life was not about heartbreak. It was about rebirth. Then came Alabama Barker's final words, a post that went viral for all the right reasons. However, I regret ever dealing with such a low-vibrational, pathetic excuse of a man. That is not something I'm proud of. Manipulation is real. The rap beef happened, it ended, and I moved on. But what I won't support is the way he treats her. No woman, especially a mother, deserves that. I don't get a laugh out of any other woman's pain. That statement sent shockwaves. Because when even someone who used to be your rival steps up to defend you, that speaks volumes. It means your pain has become undeniable, too real to dismiss. And Alabama made sure the world understood that. I don't hold grudges. I don't wish evil on anyone. She did not have to say more. The meaning was clear. When even your so-called enemies start choosing empathy over ego, it means the man you once loved has revealed his true nature, not through rumors, but through his own actions. If your enemies are defending you, then maybe the problem was never you to begin with. Toxic love has a way of pulling you back, 100 times if you let it, promising change, offering good moments like bait. But eventually, everyone hits a wall. That wall is peace. And Danielle has finally hit it. She is tired. Done. And for the first time, choosing herself. Walking away is never easy, especially when a child is involved. She and Levon share a daughter, K. Rose, an innocent soul tied to both of them. And that is what makes her strength even more powerful. Because this time, she is not walking away just for herself. She is walking away to show her daughter what self-worth looks like. She made it clear, this time, there is no what if. No, maybe he will change. No recycled promises. She is done letting him break her down. And that in itself, is power. The support came pouring in. One fan wrote, "This was God intervening, sweetie. You are the one with the money. Just move on." Another commented, "Finally. I love when women wake up." But these were not just digital claps of approval, they were reminders. Reminders that